My housekeeping. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Ray's Corner Live. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me get these things going over here. Let's get this thing going over here. Let me mute that. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? How's everybody doing? Welcome to Ray's Corner Live. Coming to you live all the way from here. Where's here? Right here. Let me get a little more light here. There we go. There we go. There we go. Look, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing this morning? Welcome to Ray's Corner Live. This is for my Camden is changing. Camden is changing. This is on my shared it with all my other sites, but this is for my Camden is changing. Camden is changing. Want to let a few more people tune in. Let a couple of more people tune in and get this thing going. If you see me going over there, I got a laptop over there in case I have some questions or something. Welcome to Ray's Corner Live with Camden is changing. Camden is changing. This is for all my Camdonians, and Camdenites, like my brother said yesterday. We get a few more minutes, and then we're going to get this thing started. Just want to wish my beautiful wife a happy anniversary, Doreen Wilkerson, and I'm out here doing a Ray's Corner Live on our anniversary. So hopefully I won't be in hot water, so I won't be here too long. But I think it's important to continue to just keep the conversations going. Listen, let me just share something with you real quick while we are waiting. Look, every Saturday, we have Reach Your Potential by the Laws of Growth, the Law of Awareness, Part 4. You must know yourself to grow yourself. Gentleman, John C. Maxwell. John C. Maxwell is very good at that. I took some of his, I don't want to praise him, I took some of his stuff, incorporated some of my stuff because I think it's real important, especially to grow yourself, to know the direction of your life, to know if you have goals, if you want to succeed, you first have to grow. We never really look and pay attention to ourselves. We try to grow our businesses, we try to grow our relationships, we try to grow all these things, and then we try to help everybody, but we kind of put ourselves on the back burner. And what this class does is actually, when you talk about the law of awareness, it allows you to be aware of who you are, good, bad, or indifference. When you become aware of who you are, then you have an understanding to accept who you are, and then you have a direction to go, and you'll see some blind spots, and you'll see some obstacles that has been keeping you from your past to your present, from your present to your future. So look, you guys, look for the flyer, sign up. It's tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Here it is a $10 cost. I think that is a minimum cost to invest in yourself. It's been a real powerful class. So let's get this party started. So we had an interview yesterday with my brother from Camden with United, with the Anointed News Journal, my brother Chris Collins. And if you know anything about Camden, well, you're from Camden. So I'm speaking to my people from Camden because I hit all my sites on Camden. This is my main focus. Camden is changing. And it would be a controversial topic whenever you deal with the name Norcross in the city of Camden. And I think my brother did an excellent job of delivering information about a particular grant that's going on and information about this gentleman, George Norcross. I think he did an excellent job. Got a lot of different feedbacks. Of course, you say, it was scripted. People say it was scripted. George Norcross, this and that. But what I want to address, this is what I want to address with our people, okay? Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She died a couple of years ago. And she was really into, Black empowerment, okay? I'm going to read off some of the guidelines that she put, what we need to stop doing as Black folks or African Americans, however you want to terminology, whatever terminology you want to use. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Vivian. Good morning. Good morning. You guys hang on with me. This is going to be a very powerful message. Even if you're not from Camden, this is something that it can be a part of your city, because all cities, what's going on with the gentrification and things like that, there's always one power broker that is trying to control everything. And then you have our grassroots organizations who's trying to overcome that. And there's two sides of the ball, and we have Blacks on both sides. But what I believe we should not do, even though we're at different sides, there's certain things that we should not do. And I want to read some of the things that we need to stop doing. And this is something Dr. Frances Cress Welsing wrote. And just bear with me for a minute. In order for us to be unified, in order for us to make this thing happen, these are some of the guidelines that we should live by, even though we're on opposite sides, okay? 1, stop name calling one another. Stop gossiping about one another. Stop squabbling with one another. Stop snitching on one another, informing one another for reasons of personal gain. Stop cursing one another. Stop being discourteous to one another. Stop being disrespectful to one another. Stop stealing from one another. Stop robbing one another. Stop fighting one another. Stop killing one another. Stop throwing down trash where Black people live, work, and play. Stop making dirt and filth the norm. Stop using and selling drugs to one another. Stop Black children from thinking that as children, they can be adequate mothers and fathers. Stop believing that welfare will save you. Start believing in prosperity. Stop pretending that racism, white supremacy does not exist. Stop being divided and conquered. Stop allowing Black, brown, red, and yellow people be divided by white supremacy. The reason why I'm saying that, and the reason why I'm putting that out there, is because in some of the comments and some of the things, there were, you know, we can disagree, but as Black folks, we have to really stop the name calling, the coons and all that stuff. I think that is something that causes constant division. You have to understand how the game is played. And when you understand how the game is played, you'll understand that it's not a game. I hear it all the time. How the game is played, you need to play the game. But the reality is it's not a game. These are real life situations. These are real life people. These are real life issues. And the reality is we're being tricked, right, by the system or white supremacist system, the racism system, to constantly keep being divided. It is okay for us to be at odds on different sides, but we can still be respectful to each other. We can still disagree with each other. We can still have the conversation with each other. You know, let me, hold on one second. Here's the question that I want to pose. I want to ask my people in Camden. Here's the question. But let me, before I get to the question, just some of the things that we read talking about stop name calling one another. We have to stop that, because that is still another case of division. And we're feeding into the thing that we're fighting against. We're actually feeding into it and giving it strength. When we're talking about stop gossiping, the thing that we're fighting against and the thing that we're trying to take over, we're actually giving power. Stop squabbling with one another. You always hear this analogy, the Jewish people say, the difference between Black people and Jewish people, the Jewish people argue after they get the money, and we argue before we get the money. When you said stop snitching on each other for a personal gain, you know what I'm saying? So we're saying things about each other, we're repeating things to people just so that we can have a personal gain. Stop cussing one another. We can be more, cussing, cursing, all that stuff shows a lack of what? Next one, stop being discourteous to one another. See, we have to start living by some principles in our own ethnicity that we can start taking back our communities, regardless of what side a person's on. Regardless, let me back up. The media. Our problem with the media is that we don't have the sources, the TV stations, the broadcasting stations, the newspapers, all those things to rebuttal what is being said about us. So I'm going to say this. So with Mr. Collins, because he said he has an open door policy, then I would challenge him and give him a call and challenge him to give him some articles that are positive, because that's what he said he wants to put in positive to debate or refute what you think is wrong or what you think the paper does not give the community. That's a challenge. His whole thing was he wants to put positive things in his paper. But here's the thing on the other side. It's enough of us, right, that can do the same thing that he does, that you can actually, develop your own newspaper. But here's the thing, you can do that too, and that's a good thing, right? But how do you bring those two resources together, create the capital, and be able to share two different views, but under the same umbrella? Because now you're bringing your resources together. These are some of the strategies. These are some of the things that we need to look at. Do I agree with everything that was in the interview? No. Do I agree with some of the stuff? Yes. Do I understand white supremacist racism? Yes. Do I understand that we can constantly keep dividing and being divided based on our beliefs, based on our thinking, right? Based on our perception of stuff. Young brother says something that's so powerful, and always remember this. My perception, your perception. I'm right about what I perceive and how I look at something, and you're right about how you look at something. But the bottom line is we need to get to truth. We need to get to truth. Truth is an understanding. And here's my question. How do we take what we agree with? Because in that conversation, and a lot of conversations about that interview yesterday, a lot of people from Camden said, I agree with some of the things. That's a starting point. I agree with some of the things. My question is, how do we take what we agree with and make Camden better? How do we take what we agreed with in that article about that grant, and how do we make Camden better? The second part of the question is, and take what we don't agree and take that, and how do we take that to make Camden better? The things that we don't agree with, how do we take those things that we don't agree with and we change it to make Camden better? So the positive thing about it is, no matter if you agree or disagree, how do we take what we heard and make Camden better? And I think that's the full reality of this, right? And if anybody have any questions, please kick it in. I could look right over there. That might Daryl Wilson. How you doing, Daryl? Got a lot of new people from Camden on there. But listen, this is the thing. We cannot continue to keep being tricked and being duped, okay? By continually being divided. Understand, I heard a lot said about we need to be unified. Well, you have to understand something about unity in the black community, not the black neighborhood. It's a difference. Community and neighborhood. We have black communities where we control the economics of our community. We control the politics of our community. We control the education of our community. Okay, we control the media of our community. We have always did that. When you look at Tulsa and you look at Rosewood and you look at the hundreds of black towns that were self-sufficient, right? Back in the day, right? We have always been able to work together. We have believed the narrative that we can't work together. We have believed the narrative that we're like crabs in a barrel, but we never developed the barrel. If you want to use the narrative crabs in the barrel, the crab is reaching up, right? And as he reaches up and get to the top, the other one, he's pulling this other claw down, pulling you up with him to get out the barrel. It's our perception and how we look at things. So, you know, when we look at this, what can we take out of that interview and and make Camden better? I heard some people say, no, we don't want that money, and it's hush money, and I get that. But here's the reality, right? This is the reality. It's going to somebody. It's going to somebody that's going to get it, and that can't perform the service or add the value that your organization can add to the cities, to the people of Camden. You know, here's the thing. When you put in the proposal, when you write the narrative, you write what you're going to do. When the money is in your hand, you just do what you wrote in the narrative. You're not being quiet. You're not being sold. You're not selling out. You're making sure that this resource, right? That this resource that's available is used for what it's available for. We can't keep saying, no, I don't want to take it. I don't want to take it. And then the people who get it serves no purpose to help the city of Camden or the people. Just something to think about. I'm not telling listen, hear me out. I'm not telling nobody what to do. I'm not saying what you should do. I'm just giving some positive information, a different perspective how to look at things, right? Because we all have the same end result. We all want the same end result. So there needs to be a meeting of how do we do this thing. So we talk about unity, right? And you have unity is so very valuable. We have to be unified, right? We have to be unified as a people. But what we don't understand is there's always going to be a left and a right. There's always going to be a left and a right in our community, right? If we're naive to think we're going to have everybody wanting to do the same thing. It's just not going to happen. But whatever team I'm on, the team that I'm on, we're unified to make this thing happen. If we're against another team or another organization, we don't have to badmouth them. Only thing we have to do is come up with a solution. And how can this other organization, what is it that they're doing that is right, that we can work together, but try to work out changing what is wrong? And just making the attempt. But here's the most important thing that I didn't hear in none of those conversations. And the most important thing that should have been the first thing in the conversations, because we were talking about sellouts, we were talking about this, we were talking about all that is all good. But the reality is, unless we come to the understanding, first and foremost, that nothing is not going to change until we create economical power within our neighborhoods to turn them back into communities, that nothing is going to change. We can sit at the table, and we should sit at the table and make things change. But until we have economical power to actually change policies, see, the key is changing policies to make things effective for the city of Camden, to change neighborhoods back into communities, you have all these businesses coming into the city, right? But inside of the city, there should be communities. East Camden, North Camden, South Camden, Fairview, Pollocktown. But these are neighborhoods now. Centerville, these are neighborhoods now. They're not communities, because we don't control the economics of our community, because we don't control the politics of our community, because we don't control the education of our community. We don't control the policing of our community. We don't control the media of our community. And those things are only happen when you get to the first level or the first floor. I like to say when Claude Anderson talks about the 5 floors, the first floor is the economics. When we can start controlling the economics of our city, of our neighborhood, we can change our neighborhood into our communities. Without understanding the economical advantages, we will continue to be living in neighborhoods in the city of Camden because we don't understand the dynamics of a community. Even in a community, right, we have a code of conduct. Listen, I was born in 50s, but in the 60s, you know, Saturdays, there was a code of conduct. You got up in the morning, you cleaned the house. If you had marble steps, you went and wiped down the marble steps. You swept in front of the house. Everybody knew that was a code of conduct for our community, for that block that we live on. That was a code of conduct. Boy, don't you throw that paper in front of your house. You pick that paper up. Or somebody would be saying, boy, you better not throw that paper in front of my house. Go put that paper in the trash can. Code of conduct. Those are things that happen in communities. In communities where the kids walk down the street and the neighbors can actually say something to them, right? Then actually say something to them and correct them. So we have to understand the underlining of what we really need to get to the place that we want to get to. Man, I'm not going to stay on here long today, but I want you guys, I put it out there. If anybody, I want Camden is changing. I want Ray's Corner Live to be a platform for the city of Camden, for grassroots organization, for people who want to change. Pro and cons. We have to have this conversation because we all know the problem. But how do we fix it? Thank you, baby. How do we look at things? How do we take whatever we see and make it positive? We all know the problem. You've been knowing the problem for years, right? We all cannot continue to keep talking about the problem. How do we fix it? What is the solution? We can't focus on people who, as you quote unquote say, sold out. If you focus on people who you say sold out, then you're not focusing on the things that we need to do to overtake the quote unquote people we believe sold out. In a city of 60 to 70,000, if it only takes 5 to 10,000 people to become mayor, we need to deal with reality. We need to deal with reality. Because it's almost impossible, right? If we're saying these things and we're these grassroots organizations, we're saying these things, right? And we can't muster 15,000 people or 10,000 people to vote for who we want in office, then we got to take a look at ourselves. We need to start taking a look at our strategies. What strategies are we using? And if anybody have any questions, please just I can see them over there and I can answer them. But what strategies are we using to better our city? I say a lot of times, you know, I'm you know, I talk to people in Camden all the time. I'm from Camden. I got to make it back. You know, there's things that I'm working on. I'll be in Camden the first week of September. Matter of fact, the first week of September, I'm being in Camden, September 7th. I'm actually going to do a workshop called Get Me Started to Success, a free workshop. I don't do a lot of free stuff because it really serves no purpose, because when you do free stuff, workshops and seminars and webinars and all those things, right, what happens is people really don't value the information that they get. But I'm going to do that. And also what I'm going to do for those people, those organizations that are interested in doing that grant but don't have a clue about how to write a proposal, what an RFP is. I actually been doing proposal writing classes for over 20 years. I'm actually going to do a webinar and give you the foundations of what it is, how it is, and what they're looking for in that particular proposal that you might be successful. Just inbox me. Office number is 678-580-1756. Give me a call. Get enough people. Man, I'm gonna do it anyway. If I don't get enough people or not, I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm still gonna do the workshop on September 7th. Going to be at the library. I'll get all the information down. I'm going to have a couple of speakers from the city. Get me started to success. When we talk about success, we're not always talking about money makes you successful, but what it is that really makes you successful in life, that will allow you, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, because there's two different things. There's a difference between being an entrepreneur and being a business person. There's two different type of mindsets. What does it take to become successful? So when we start giving people information like this and then start holding them accountable to the information that they're getting, then the change start happening. So when we start really looking at what is really needed in the city of Camden, it's not just Camden, it's almost any city around there. But I'm from Camden. I was born in Camden, born in Cooper Hospital. Told y'all the other day, was 3rd and Mickle Street. My aunt was the curator of Walt Whitman House, 4th and Washington, first student in Landon Square, went to Central School, all that stuff, from downtown, then moved to East Camden, Westfield Acres, went to Woodrow Wilson High School. So ran the streets of Camden, was strung out on drugs for almost 15 years in the city of Camden, right? Strung out on drugs, eating out of trash cans, so the city molded me to where I am today, to come out of all that, to be my own business owner, to have my own incubation program, to have a shared living program in the city of New Orleans that helps people coming out of prison and mental clients and homeless people who's working on setting that same process up in Atlanta, but I need to come home and make that happen. I hear in Camden that you're not, shared living, people call it group homes. I hear that you're not, they're not giving an ordinance to allow group homes to open up, no group homes to open up for guys coming out of prison homeless, because it doesn't fit the direction of the city. But from what I see, the direction of the city have a whole lot of homeless people walking around there on Broadway. There's a whole lot of people strung out on drugs. So there's a whole lot of guys that's sitting in prison that can't come home because they don't have no home plan from Camden. And so these are the things that we need to be focusing on to make sure that we have the availability for housing for people of that magnitude, people like myself. If I didn't have nowhere to go coming out of the rehab, then I would have been in bad shape. So these are some of the things that we need to focus on. So, but let me share this. We really need to, and when I say we need to, I'm including myself, because I know how this thing works. A lot of times, well, Ray, you ain't been in Camden in over 20 years. You ain't lived there. You don't know what's going on in Camden. You're right. I don't know what's going on in Camden. But what I do know is, what Camden is. I know what Camden is. And what I see is not what Camden is. Well, Camden is changing. Yeah, it's going to change. It should change for the better. So if it's changing for the better and it's not changing for the better for everybody, then I need to be on the side where, well, why is it not changed for everybody? And let's make it happen so it can change for everybody. But I have enough wisdom to understand the resources, where the resources come from. As long as it's legal and legitimate, I'm going to take whatever resources I can use to make Camden better for the people who need to get better, the people that, like myself, we all can do better. That we can have resources that, I think Chris was saying yesterday, and I'm just going from what he's saying. I haven't researched it yet, and I don't like to say a lot of things I haven't researched. But from what this conversation is like, these new apartments, like it's supposed to be 30%. Supposed to be. I'm not, like I said, I haven't researched it. I will research it for housing. Well, I already know moving back to Camden, I probably wouldn't move in none of those places. I'll ask some of my buddies who have houses in Camden, and I'll, if I just want to lease or buy, I'll rent from them. I don't need to be at the plush place down there, but I'll practice what I preach. You see, so we really have to understand it is a different Camden, but are we doing, what strategies are we using to help change what's going on? I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people, it's not that people don't want to go out and vote, and it's not that people don't want to change, they're just tired of fighting. You know, you get tired, you get wore down. People my age, all my people my age who moved out of Camden, I'm constantly telling them, you know, we need to move back. No, we don't want to move back. We don't want to move back. Or if we move back, we'll move outside of Camden. No, we need to move in Camden so that we can create the economical power, the economical base that can change. Because once we get that economical power and start changing our neighborhoods back to communities, because listen, because these new neighborhoods that's coming, they're coming with economical power, because they're coming being able to pay a cost, but pay a tax base and be able to change policies. So you need to understand the game don't change for the color. The game changed because of the green. The game don't change because of the color. You can only change the game with the green. And we have to start realizing that. We have to start duplicating the services. Instead of doing that, we need to bring together everybody doing the same service, put it under one umbrella to create the capital for that. We'll be more effective. One thing I noticed about that grant, I read the whole thing. You need to read it. That even if I'm not a 501c3. If I'm a 501c3 and I have 4 or 5 grassroots organizations who don't have it, they can all actually come under my umbrella, you know, and we can actually put in for whatever that is. So the thing is to bombard this, to every grassroots organization in the city, bombard this and try to get the whole million, get half of the million, get whatever you can get out of that million, that you're going to do the right thing with it. Don't matter where it's come from. I know that's a hard piece to realize. You know, I don't mean to say taking something from something illegal, you know, but think about this. And I got to say this: the Kennedys, the mafia, all those illegal organizations, and I'm not promoting this, took dirty money and made it clean. I'm just saying. Other ethnicities did things to raise capital, and I'm not telling us to do this. I'm just telling you how they generated capital. They got money from places that they normally wouldn't get it from, and as soon as they got it and did the right thing and cleaned it up, they left a lot of this stuff alone. America is built on 2 things: entrepreneurship and investments. And if we're not one of those 2 things, more than likely we'll always be behind the 8 ball. Our grassroots organizations, you need funding to do what you need to do. You need money. You don't necessarily have, we need, let me tell you the purpose of a nonprofit organization, and then I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. Let me see if I have any questions. No questions right now. Let me tell you the true purpose of a nonprofit organization. And I lost my screen here. Okay, there we go. Give me 1 second. Okay. The true purpose of, listen very carefully, listen to this, because most people don't know what the purpose of a nonprofit. In my consulting firm, I've been setting up nonprofits for the last 20 years. My incubation program, we have been pushing small businesses how to scale up. But the purpose of a nonprofit organization, hear me out. You can write this down. The purpose of a nonprofit organization is to create for-profit entities to make the nonprofit self-sufficient. I'm going to say that again. The purpose of a nonprofit organization is to create for-profit entities to make the nonprofit self-sufficient. What does that say? That says if I'm self-sufficient and I'm raising my own money, You can't tell my organization what to do based on the guidelines of a grant. Now, I'm not saying grants are bad. Get them when you can get them, but only get them if they apply to what you do. And then only get them to make sure that your finances, that you have your accountant and all that stuff in place so that you don't, get yourself in some trick bag. Trust me, been there, done that. Just telling you something from experience. Telling you something from experience. If you're not prepared for some stuff, it will come back and bite you. I'm just telling you from experience. So once again, the purpose of a nonprofit is to create for-profit entities to make the nonprofit self-sufficient. So if we have all these grassroots nonprofits, right, then why aren't we creating for-profit entities so that we can be self-sufficient and we can do the things that we need to do? Can't nobody stop you from doing it. Our mindset has to be, we have to dominate in whatever area or influence of fear that we have. Whatever our influence of fear is for our organization, we're supposed to dominate that area. When you have that mindset that I'm going to dominate, that my organization is going to dominate in my fear of influence, then no one can stop you from doing what you need to do. So look, you guys, I'm going to be having some controversial stuff, but the controversial stuff, everything about Ray's Corner Live when it's pertaining to Camden is changing. Because I do more than just stuff on Ray's Corner Live, but my Camden and Changing section, this is what this is. Camden is changing. We're going to have people from Camden with solutions to the problem, people to vent whatever they want to vent, but in the end, we're going to come up with solutions. Okay, I want this to be a platform for any organization, any person that wants to make change, that has some ideas, that needs some resources. I want to make sure this is a venue for that. And also I want to make sure that I want to continue to give this idea to you guys this Saturday. If you look at the flyer, you do not want to miss this webinar, personal growth webinar, Reach Your Potential by the Laws of Growth. The Law of Awareness, Part 4. You must know yourself to grow yourself. And when you know yourself, you'll be more or less likely to do the things that you need to do to move forward. And I want to share this last thing with you again, okay? I want to share this with you. I'm going to read this again, and I'm going to take a picture and put it on my website. I want to make sure, well, I'm going to put it on the website. I'm going to read this again, and then I'm going to get out of here. This is from Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. And we need to start living by this. We need to start living by this. Stop. We could be on opposite sides, but don't mean we have to be disrespectful or name calling. So here's the thing. Stop name calling one another. Stop gossiping about one another. Stop squabbling with one another. Stop snitching on one another, informing on one another for reasons of personal gain. Stop cursing one another. Stop being discourteous to one another. Stop being disrespectful to one another. Stop stealing from one another. Stop robbing one another. Stop fighting one another. Stop killing one another. Stop throwing down trash where Black people live, work, and play. Stop making dirt and filth the norm. Stop using and selling drugs to one another. Stop Black children from thinking that as a children they can be adequate mothers and fathers. Stop believing that welfare will save you. Start believing in prosperity. Stop pretending that racism, white supremacy does not exist. Stop being divided and conquered. Stop allowing Black, brown, red, and yellow people being divided by white supremacy. These are some of the things that we need to lay as our foundation and watch change happen. Because, listen, I'm going to say this again. The very thing that you think you're fighting against, and when you're fighting against your brother, you're actually, the thing that you're fighting against, they're actually winning. It doesn't mean just because I don't think like you and just because you don't think like me, just because I think you're on the wrong side, or I might even know you on the wrong side, but I still need to respect you in a manner where it does not have the outside entities looking at, Look at them. See, I told you they can't work today. They can't get along. The perspective that we can't work together is a lie. So look, this your guy, Ray Wilkerson, coming to you live all the way from here. Where's here, right? Cheer! This Ray's Corner Live. Like we always say here, God loves you. I love you. And guess what? Ain't nothing you can do about it. Inbox me. You want to be a guest? Inbox me. Call my office, 678-580-1756. Do what you got to do. Don't forget, September 7th, you be aware, we're going to have that workshop. Get me started to success. Peace out. Holla. Share this. Share this. Share this. Share this. Love y'all. Peace.